Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time seeing me, hi, my name is Lily. You should definitely like, comment, and subscribe so you can be a part of my YouTube journey. Today I'm going to be telling you guys all my tips and tricks about periods. So it's basically going to be a periods 101 video. I'm going to tell you tips, tricks, hygiene routine, cramps 101, tampons versus pads, my personal experience, everything I know, and I'm just going to share it with you guys. Hopefully you learned something that you didn't know, or I answered a question that you always wondered and didn't want to ask. I'm going to give demonstrations. This video is going to be very in-depth, and I would not recommend for boys to watch, especially if they're like immature. If you're not immature and you're just wondering, then keep on watching. But like if you're going to be weird about it, then I would not recommend this video to you. Also, I have like little water droplets over here on my shirt. They're going to go away in a minute. But yeah, I don't want to make the intro too long, so I'm just going to share everything I know about periods with you guys, and hopefully I can help you and you can learn something from this video. So first we're going to start off with tampons versus pads. Personally, I use tampons. I just feel like tampons are cleaner, more hygienic, they work better for me. And a disclaimer that I'm going to put out for you guys, everyone's body is different, so what works for me may not work for you. What works for you may not work for me. So I'm just trying to show you like what I use and what works for me. If it doesn't work for you, then I'm sorry. But hopefully you can take something out of this video, even if something else might not work. I'm just going to start off with tampons and everything I know. Basically, I started using tampons when I was 13 years old. I think that's a pretty good age. I feel like you shouldn't use tampons right off the bat if you're super young, because it could be uncomfortable and there's like things that are just kind of weird about it. So I feel like 13 is a good age. When I was 13, I had my period for 3 years at that point, so that was good. And I've been using tampons for about 2 years, and I really like them, and I've never really gone back to a pad since. So I'm just gonna explain like all the pros and cons to tampons. So tampons can cause toxic shock syndrome if you leave them in too long, and that basically just means that your body reacts to your tampon being in for too long, and the worst case scenario is death. Obviously, I feel like that's with everything, but yeah, like it doesn't really matter if you do it correctly, but just make sure that you don't sleep with your tampons in for more than 8 hours, because you're not supposed to keep tampons in for more than 8 hours. And I'm gonna give you guys a little rundown on tampons. So basically, tampons come in 4 different sizes. I only have the 3 most common. Tampax, the brand, sells light tampons, regular, super, and then super plus. I normally use super plus for my super heavy days because I have a heavier flow, like a lot of girls probably do. So I mainly use super plus and super, and then I might use regular on like the very last day when it like comes back after you think it's gone, if you know what I'm talking about. So basically, I use these Tampax Pocket Pearl right now. I go back and forth, but I always use the brand Tampax. I've also tried U by Kotex. They're okay. I've tried cardboard tampons. I don't like those. And I know there's a lot of controversy going around about tampons and like bleach right now and stuff like that. If you don't want to use tampons like by a very well-known brand, then you can use organic tampons. Maybe that will work better for you. But personally, I didn't do much research into it and I just heard about it. Basically, a regular tampon is this size. It's like this wide. And then a super tampon is this wide. Sorry, my nails are really long. I'm gonna paint them soon. And then this one is this wide. So that was regular, super, and super plus. So normally I use the super plus one, and then I'll use super, and then regular is just like if I don't have any more tampons in the super or super plus size, or if I just don't really know if it's gonna come back or not, then I'll use a regular. But yeah, these I just ordered in like a 120 pack on Amazon during quarantine. So they're the Tampax Pearl, but normally I would use just like a regular Tampax that are like about this long. these are the same thing. They're just like compact, so you can put them in your pocket and stuff. It's good for like high school or middle school girls or whatever that they're like so like self-conscious and like anxious to let somebody know that they're on their period. So I totally get that, and that's mainly like what they're designed for. They're just more convenient. I'm going to give a demonstration of how to use a tampon now. If you don't know, I'm gonna try to use a water bottle because it's just like the closest thing. I just ripped off the label. So basically when you use a tampon, you just open the package like this. Oops. And then this one is the pocket pearl one. So you just pull it until it clicks like that. And then this is like what a regular size tampon looks like. And then make sure that you wash your hands before you do this, because you're gonna put your hands like really close to the most private part in your body. So just make sure that your hands are clean, and then put your middle finger and your thumb together and put them on like this grippy part. So just go like this, and then put your pointer finger on this part right here where the string is, and then say this is your body, like the opening or whatever. And you want to make sure that you're putting it up at an angle. Like you don't want to put it straight up like this. You want to put it up like that a little bit. And so basically what I'm about to show you is exactly how it works, just it's upside down. So you just put it in at an angle like this, and then once it's all the way in there, like say this is the top of your, this is the end of the hole, you push it all the way up, and then once it gets there, push it, and then it expands like this throughout the day. And then I'm gonna close it, and you leave the string outside of your body. So then this is like the inside of your body, and you won't see that part. So make sure you put it all the way up until you can only see the string left, and then that's when you let go and pull the plastic part down. So then this part should be the only part that you can see outside of your body. Don't ever put that so far up that you can't get it, because that's a whole nother thing. But this is what it looks like throughout the day. And then when you're done, you just like flip it over, and then you just pull it. Ooh, it's leaking, sorry. But you just pull it out, and make sure you like pinch the string, put your legs like together, and then just pull it out, because that's what's easiest. And then make sure that you throw this little plastic part in the trash, and then wash your hands when you're all done. And also a tip for like really young girls, if you're really scared to like put one in, for the first time you can use like Vaseline, or coconut oil is more natural, but you can use either one of those, and just put like a little tiny bit on this part, like a tiny part on like the little opening. And then you can put it up, and it might be a little bit easier just if you're like young and it's your first time. And then after that, you just get used to it, and it just goes up on its own. That is a demonstration on how to use a tampon without me actually showing you. That is the best demonstration that I can give you. Hopefully that works. Make sure you put in the second hole, which is the actual opening. It will be more comfortable to you once you do it. Like you'll understand what I'm talking about once you like learn your body and stuff, and you'll get more comfortable. But another tip that I have is just know that having your period is normal. It's normal to know your way around your body. Like eventually you won't even need a mirror. Like I never really used a mirror. I know a lot of girls do for like their first time putting a tampon in. Make sure you learn the products that your body likes and which you don't like. Don't just stick to a brand because somebody else told you you should use that brand. Make sure that you actually like what you're using. Try out a lot of different pads. Try out Diva Cup if you want to. Like try out everything, and then decide on what you really liked and what really worked for you. Because some tampons are like leak free, but they actually do leak. So you know, it just depends on your flow, depends on you and what you're comfortable with. Like if you're not comfortable with tampons, don't use them. If you're not comfortable with pads, don't use them. You know, it's just like you have to learn your body over time. I've had my period for almost 5 years. It will be 5 years next month. I've learned over time. I've tried a lot of different things, and I finally know like what works for me, what brands I like and stuff. So just make sure that you really study yourself and learn what you like and don't like. And you should apply that to everything in life, like not even just periods. I think I already said this, but don't sleep in tampons really. You are supposed to change your tampon every 2 to 8 hours, which is why they tell you not to sleep overnight in a tampon, because most of the time we sleep more than 8 hours. and if you leave it in for more than 8 hours, it can cause toxic shock syndrome. So now that I'm in high school, I change my tampon like throughout the day while I'm at school. But if you're not comfortable with that, or like if you're younger in middle school, it's not ideal. But if you put a tampon in right before you leave for school and then you get home and you take it out as soon as you get home, then it's not going to be the worst thing, because it's going to be just about 8 hours. But it just depends on your body. Like if you're one of those girls who's like anxious about it and doesn't want anyone to know, you can obviously do that. It's not like very hygienic and not ideal, like I said, but you can do it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, I change my tampon every 2 hours. Like, it just depends on your body and what you're comfortable with. Like, if your flow is not that heavy and you're changing your tampon every 2 hours, you're gonna be wasting tampons, which is wasting money. Just do what works for you. Don't let anyone else tell you should change it this amount or that amount. Just don't leave it in for more than 8 hours. That's all. Like, other than that, you can change as frequently or as non-frequently as you would like to. But it is easy to forget that you have it in there if you're like not using the bathroom like a normal amount of times a day. So just be sure to know that you have it in and that you should be changing it, and just make sure you go to the bathroom so you can know. That is pretty much it on tampons, I think. There are plastic tampons, cardboard tampons, organic tampons. You can use whatever you want. Experiment with different types. For me personally, I love tampons. I hate pads. They're easier for me. They're good for swimming and they're perfect for the summertime. Like, honestly, if you don't get cramps, like I only get cramps really like the first day. But other than that, like if you have a tampon and you really can't feel it and you don't even feel like you're on your period, for me personally, because I don't really get like hormonal or anything, it works for me. It might not work like that for someone else. But anyway, I think tampons are better in my opinion, but that's just me. You stick with what you're comfortable with. Now moving on to pads. There's different pads for different flows. Panty liners are like what people put on in addition to tampons, which is just like a little teeny strip. I don't use those. A lot of people do. So right here, I've only ever used U by Kotex. So I have two different ones. This one is the U by Kotex Heavy Flow. I really like this one because it's like good to sleep in. That's the only time that I use pads, is when I go to sleep. So this is what I like to use. But then they also have regular, which is like for a flow that isn't as heavy. So regular, heavy flow. These ones come with 18 and they're just a little bit shorter than the ones that are heavy flow. Yeah, pads are the same thing. You're supposed to change them between like every 2 and 8 hours, I think. But pads don't give you anything like toxic shock syndrome like a tampon could. Like you can change a pad whenever you want, but the only thing that's like, the only reason why they give you a time frame is because it's gross to sit in a pad for a long time. Like I have a lot of friends who still use pads and don't use tampons. They're not comfortable with tampons, or they only use them when they're swimming or whatever. That's what I mean. Like what works for your body is what works for your body. Like if you don't want to wear a tampon, then you don't have to wear one. But if you go swimming a lot, or you go hiking, or you do a lot of like outside activities, sports, stuff like that, tampons are probably going to work better for you. If you don't and you like pads, then you know, so be it. I know grown women who've only ever used pads. So it's just like what works for you. But I personally hate pads and I think they're gross. Let all the blood flow and you just sit in it and it's gross. Over time, if you let your pad sit for like a really long time, it can create a smell, and we don't want that over here. So when I go to sleep, I just use U by Kotex Heavy Flow. And I'm just going to give you guys a demonstration for how to put a pad on. I personally have seen a lot of videos like on TikTok about people not knowing how to put a pad on, boys not knowing how you do it, girls saying that they did it wrong the first time. So if you're really young and this is like your first time ever getting a period or something, most of the time you'll probably use ones that are smaller than this. I always use this size. These ones are really long. You just open it up like this and it looks like this. This part goes in the back, this part goes in the front. This one, I know it goes in the back because it's longer and it's a little bit wider. And then these ones are the ones with wings, so they wrap around. But basically you just open it up like this, and then you take off the wrapper, and then you take off the wings wrapper like this. And we're just gonna pretend that my arm right here is your underwear. So you just take the pad and put it like this, and you put it all the way on. Make sure it's sticky, and then flip the wings over but under your little underwear section like that. And then this is how it goes on, and it just absorbs the blood all day long whenever you take it out for a couple hours, blah blah. And then once you're done, you just rip it off like this, and then you put the wings in like that. You fold it down, you fold this in, you take the wrapper from the new pad that you're putting on, and then you just put it in here, and then you wrap it up, and it just wraps up, and then you just throw it away. That is a pad demonstration. I hope that you guys knew how to do that, but if not, that's how you do it. Pads are a lot easier. Tampons are a lot more convenient, in my opinion. If you're going swimming, I wouldn't recommend a pad. I know people who have gone swimming, like they use pads and then they put on swim shorts, or they don't use a pad and they just free ball it, because your period stops in the water. Like for the most part, like when you get in the ocean, when you get in the pool, when you get in the shower, it stops, but then as soon as you get out, it comes rushing. So I wouldn't recommend that. I would not wear a pad in the ocean or in the pool, because basically pads are designed to absorb liquids. So if you get into the water with a pad on, the pad is going to absorb all the water and have no more like room for the blood, and it's going to look like you're wearing a diaper if you're like around people. If you don't care, then you can do whatever you want, but pads are not designed to be in water. Tampons are better for swimming, but I know girls who have done it with pads just because they're not comfortable with tampons yet. Don't make anybody feel like you have to use a tampon by this age or that age, or you have to stop using pads. You can use pads your whole life if you feel like it. You can never use a pad if you don't want to. It's just basically what you and your body are comfortable with. That is pretty much everything with pads versus tampons. I personally like tampons better. There's pros and cons to each one. It's just what you and your body are comfortable with. Now for like the hygiene part of it. When you use the bathroom, I recommend using baby wipes. These are the baby wipes that I use. These are just Huggies Natural Care for like sensitive skin or whatever. Fragrance free baby wipes are what you should be using. Make sure you never put anything down in your private area that has a scent. No scented tampons, no scented pads, no scented wipes. I know people who've done it and say it works for them, but it can throw off your pH balance, and just because a store or a brand sells it doesn't mean you should be using it. Remember that. Just use these to wipe off, and make sure you wipe everything and get it all clean. And whenever you take a shower on your period, make sure you take 2 showers a day if you can. If not, it's not the end of the world, but you should take 2 showers every day anyway, but on your period, definitely. This is like the same thing that I use on a regular day, but I just use like the basic Dove white soap and then the Dove sensitive skin. They're pretty much the same thing to me. I don't know, they don't make a difference. They both do the same thing, and they're both unscented. So I just take a new rag. This rag has never been used. I'm not going to show you guys a rag that I use. This has never been used before. You open it up and then wet it, and then make sure you like put the soap under there, and then lather it all together. Make sure you get the whole rag lathered up with soap, and just wash down there like you would on a normal day. You can do it 2 or 3 times if you want to be like super clean and fresh and keep up with it. And then as soon as you get out of the shower, put a tampon in or put a pad on and put your underwear on, and then lotion your body or whatever. Just make sure that you do it and you get everything, because there's a lot more going on down there when you're on your period, obviously. Now for the cramp. When you're on your period, make sure you're drinking a lot of water. You should be drinking a lot of water anyway, but most definitely when you're on your period. Water just solves everything. For cramps, I'm gonna give you a little backstory. I started my period when I was 10 years old. I had just turned 10 about 2 or 3 months before. So I didn't have cramps for like the first 3.5 years of my period. And I have had cramps for like the past 1.5 years or so, which really sucks because I never thought I was gonna get them. But I don't get them every day, I just get them on the first day. Recently, like for the past 4 months, I have had really bad cramps and a really bad first day of my period. I get like super lightheaded, like fatigue is what they call it. Really bad cramps. I don't really get headaches. I get super lightheaded and my cramps are so bad and I get bloated and all this stuff. And I have to like go to the bathroom and just sit there and like cry and then go on the bathroom floor and lay down. I just eat something, drink some water, put a heating pad on and all that stuff. But my cramps recently have got really, really, really bad. You can help cramps by doing exercise, taking medicine, eating better. If you change your diet, it can help, blah, blah. But there's no way to really avoid it altogether. No, you can try as many things as you want, but it's not guaranteed to work. But for medicine, you can use ibuprofen or you can use Midol or you can use Excedrin or whatever. But I personally use Midol. It looks like this. Midol is what works for me. It knocks out the cramps, the fatigue, all that stuff in less than an hour, I would say. Maybe even like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I basically just take 2 tablets when my cramps start to hurt and I just take them with some water or whatever drink. It should work and bust them out and the rest of my day is better. This Midol helps with cramps, fatigue, and bloating, which is the 3 things that I mainly have a problem with on my first day. It's the perfect medicine for me. I know friends of mine that it doesn't work for, they don't use it. But it really sucks to think you're never gonna have cramps and then you just all of a sudden get them one day. But a tip for cramps, if you're like at school, is to not wear tight clothing. Don't wear tight clothes. Don't wear jeans and a belt, because I've done that and I've been like, why does my stomach hurt? And it was because I had cramps and I was wearing super, super, super tight clothes, because it just basically like goes like this to your stomach and it's not good. That is not a good thing to do. You can take a hot bath. If that doesn't work, you can put on a heating pad. I have a heating pad over here. It just looks like this. It's really old. I've had it for a really long time. It just has like this thing on it, which has low, medium, and high temperatures. And then you just plug it in the wall. They also have ones that are like rice in a bag and you can like heat it up. Over my heating pad, normally I just have a pillowcase. This is a really old pillowcase. That's why it like looks kind of dingy. But that's what my heating pad looks like. And you can just use a heating pad, take hot baths, take medicine. Just try to rest and don't do much. I think exercising does work. I hope you got something from this video. And if you're a girl and you ever have questions, you can always ask me or comment them or whatever. I hope you guys learned something from this video. Like I said, we're almost at 100 subscribers, so thank you guys so much. I know some people are probably like 100 subscribers, but like I have always wanted to do YouTube and it was my dream. I never thought I was gonna have 1 subscriber. So it's pretty amazing that I'm almost at 100 and I've only been doing this for almost 3 months. I hope you learned something. Don't forget to comment video suggestions and I will see you all in my next video.